Greetings collectors and welcome to today's retro game review. Can you believe it? Insert Disc has reached episode 100. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all of my subscribers and viewers that have had such an interest in retro gaming. I started this channel really just as an outlet for my hobby and to produce some somewhat regular episodes to help other collectors reminisce and give newer gamers the opportunity to get into retro gaming. No crazy screaming or reaction videos, no fancy graphics, just the games as the star of the show, revisited in their original physical form. Now usually I'd be bringing you a review of a classic retro video game from my collection. We're going to shake things up a bit today though for a special feature-length episode. Expect classic literature, prizes, mystery, controversy, a retro game, and a journey deeper into the code of a BBC micro game than anyone has ever gone before, to try and crack a decades-old computing mystery. Today we try to crack the code of Hareraiser in search of the golden hare. I have to preface this one that many of you will already know the story of the golden hare very well and will appreciate that there are quite a few small details that I had to glance over due to not wanting to make this episode into a huge epic. I have tried my best to get all of the key points in here though, and tried to fact check as best as I can with the available sources. Gather round now and make yourself comfortable for our tale of mystery. Our story starts back in 1979 with the release of a picture book featuring a hare on a mission to deliver a treasure from the moon to the sun. It was a rather pretty picture book, 32 pages of finely illustrated drawings for children. The picture book was called Masquerade by author Kit Williams. The picture book was no ordinary book though. It held clues to a secret mystery to real-life buried treasure within its drawings. Its existence also unknowingly set off a chain of events that would lead to the creation of a two-part computer game, Hareraiser Prelude and Hareraiser Finale. This amazing set of circumstances resulted in one of Britain's most formidable modern-day mysteries, before falling into legend. Today I'll be going down the rabbit hole in search of the golden hare. Now I won't be covering the events of the Masquerade treasure hunt in detail, as there are already several books and documentaries about the events surrounding the hunt for the golden hare. However, I will need to cover at least the origins and overview of the story to give you the context for the later mystery. For those of you interested in the Masquerade mystery, I highly recommend the BBC documentary The Man Behind Masquerade. I'll put a link to the video in the description. So, let's start with the book, Masquerade. In 1979, a British artist called Kit Williams created the book Masquerade. It was a picture book that could be enjoyed by all ages. However, infused within its artwork were a set of clues to buried treasure. Kit had created a golden hare, bejewelled with various precious stones. The golden hare was sealed away and then placed within a leather pouch. Kit then proceeded to bury the golden hare at an undisclosed location in the middle of the night. Well-known British TV presenter of the day, Bamber Gascoigne, was there as the sole witness to the event and a very credible guarantor that the treasure really had been buried. The stage was set and the hunt was on. The treasure hunt became a national obsession for some. Kit would receive stacks of mail on a daily basis. It wasn't long before suggestions from as far away as Japan came in. Somewhere within these pages were all the clues expert sleuths would need to unlock the mystery of the golden hare's location. However, it wasn't until 3 years later, in 1983, that Kit received a sketch from a treasure hunter claiming to have found the prize. The letter was from a Mr. Ken Thomas, a pseudonym of Dougald Thompson. It appeared though that all was not as it seemed. It had appeared that Ken Thomas had found the solution by luck rather than correctly solving the clues within the artwork. Nevertheless, Kit told Ken Thomas to dig. The golden hare had been found. It wasn't long after that Williams received a correct solution sent him by two teachers, Mike Barker of William Hume's Grammar School and John Rousseau of the Rossall School. The pair had seemingly unearthed the prize themselves when digging at Amt Hill, but had not noticed it inside its clay box. Thompson discovered it in the dirt piles that they had left behind. On December 11th, 1988, the Sunday Times printed a story accusing the winner of the Masquerade contest of being a fraud. Ken Thomas was revealed as a pseudonym for Dougald Thompson, and Thompson's business partner, John Gard, was the boyfriend of Veronica Robertson, a former live-in girlfriend of Kit Williams. Gard had allegedly convinced Robertson to help him because both were said to be animal rights activists, and Gard promised to donate any profits to the animal rights cause. The Sunday Times alleged that while living with Williams, Robertson had learned the approximate physical location of the hare, while remaining ignorant to the proper solution to the book's master riddle. After supposedly finding out from Robertson that the hare was at Amt Hill, Gard and 2 assistants were said to have started searching for it using metal detectors. After searching for some time with no success, they drew a crude sketch of the location, which Thompson then submitted to Williams as Thomas, and it was then this sketch that Williams acknowledged as the first correct answer. Kit is quoted as saying, "This tarnishes Masquerade, and I'm shocked by what has emerged. I feel a deep sense of responsibility to all those many people who were genuinely looking for it. Although I didn't know it, it was a skeleton in my cupboard, and I'm relieved it has come out." Robertson has always maintained her innocence in the matter, insisting that she never knew the location of the jewel or even which part of the world it was buried in. Robertson says she never wanted to know the location of it and was very shocked and upset, not only by the accusations made against her, but also by the way she was treated and misquoted by the press at the time. The golden hare was now in the possession of Thompson and Gard. So as not to spoil the book for anyone, I won't show the official solution in this video, but it is a really great set of clues and does have a logical methodology. For most, this is where the story ends, all wrapped up. The mystery of the treasure hunt solved and the golden hare's location now known. Many are unaware of what happened next in this tale. It's at this point a national treasure hunt mystery became a retro gaming legend. Now having obtained the golden hare treasure through less than honest means, there would be a twist in the story that very few people know about even to this day. Thompson founded a software company called Haresoft and offered the jewel as a prize to a new contest which took the form of a computer game, Hareraiser. The company and its game, which many believe to be unsolvable with only meaningless text and graphics, were unsuccessful, yielding no winner. Thompson's newly founded company Haresoft released a new challenge to the great frustration of gamers. The man that used deception in the Masquerade treasure hunt was now to become the riddle maker. The game Hareraiser was released across a number of platforms of the day. It came in 2 instalments, Hareraiser Prelude and Hareraiser Finale. At £8.95 each, gamers would have to buy both tapes for the full set of clues. Many believe that the games are completely unsolvable, just tantalising clues, statements, and almost random patterns. Having already been known to be less than honest business partners, Dougald Thompson and John Gard offered a £30,000 reward to the person that solved the riddles of the game. The game is incredibly basic. Typically, the screen loads a hare, a few trees, and a clue. The player can press a direction key for the next screen. To be honest, that's about it. To this day, no one has solved the clues, as it's likely that these are unsolvable. As such, I thought I would contribute my skills to try and get to the bottom of all this. So I played around with the game for some time. Quite frankly, I came to the conclusion that it was all smoke and mirrors, but with a few interesting patterns emerging here and there. Before I get into the methodology I used, it's worth me saying that I am a big fan of puzzles, riddles, mathematical problems, and generally have a good head for this type of thing. My aim was to give Hareraiser a fair hearing. As a child, I grew up with a Commodore Amiga, and the technology bug never really left me. Back in 1997, I was a member of the after-school programming club, programming 386 Nimbuses in RM Basic, and I was also a member of the chess club. I went on to join the UEA in the year 2000, studying computer science, and gained a useful foundational year in programming in Java, computational mathematics, and programming Motorola 68000 chips. During this time, I repaired a 1980s arcade cabinet and continued collecting any redundant hardware and software I could find. After switching to a degree in psychosocial science, I've worked as an analyst for more than one multinational company. I've also got a soft spot for 1980s microcomputing. I'm lucky enough to own a factory fresh condition BBC Micro, and of course 8 variants of Commodore 64, various Spectrums, a Dragon 32, and goodness knows what else. I'm not a professional coder by trade, but I'm not afraid to reveal that I've got a few coding skills up my sleeve, at least enough old school skills to give this challenge a good go. I like to think of myself as the perfect storm of geeky code puzzle breaker, which is partly what drew me to the Golden Hair mystery in the first place, a 30-year-old game mystery that has never been solved. So, I began to break the game down. I began to look at the obvious, the in-game play, tree positions, symmetry, order, the manual, overlays. I tried to compare it to the Spectrum versions, and note any patterns that I might see. Ultimately though, I came up a little short, and generally concluded that if there was a solvable set of clues in here, then it was generally too obscure to solve. Other than the standard set of behaviours, the game really doesn't do anything special or unexpected. So, if you can't beat 'em, cheat. That's right, I'm also an old school gamer, so this is just second nature. On the surface, the game really doesn't present any logical solution at all, just vague, semi-solvable statements. What I tried next was to reverse engineer the code. Typically games will be coded in BASIC and then compiled into object code. I chose to emulate the code in this case, as the loading times would have seriously impacted my progress. Once you have this code, it's like viewing the Matrix. Before me, I could see the code staring back at me and the potential answers. This is only half the battle though. To decide if there were any hidden messages, it would be necessary to trawl through the code for any telltale signs of hidden messages. Again, another good reason to initially emulate this code on a PC. There are a few approaches to take. Method 1. Read the entire program, timely but thorough. Method 2. Look for key operators, such as if-then. If you can find a condition that indicates a desired input from the player, you may be onto a lead. For example, if the user presses a correct set of keys in order, then show X. Method 3. Look out for bad coding practices, such as using goto statements. Out of the ordinary code could indicate a lead towards a hidden message. It also potentially helps identify lines of code that were otherwise orphaned. Method 4. Know the programmer, their previous work and style. Are they known for any particular style that they may reuse here? What's their coding calling card? Method 5. Compare to other computer versions and look for similarities. From this, triangulate any similarities or points that stick out. The findings? Well, as you might imagine, I found absolutely nothing unexpected. The game essentially just loops, and loops with the clue statements. I found absolutely nothing at all to indicate any further hidden messages were within the code, annotated or otherwise. I was, however, able to extract all of the text strings used in the code. This confirms all of the clues shown within the game. But the story didn't end there. Haresoft announced a second installment of Hareraiser, Hareraiser Finale. This tape is rarer than the first, and if you felt ripped off by part 1, there's no way you would stump up yet another £8.95 for this sequel, despite being told that you needed both cassettes to claim the prize. Again, by playing the game, there's little to be gleaned in the way of a solution, treasure hunt or otherwise. There are a few small differences in the presentation, but really only minimal changes, nothing at all of any value. Many hunters have put forward some compelling suggestions, however none fully explain a full-blown answer or provide a lead to another piece of the puzzle. The question being, how or where do I find the golden hair? Sadly, the mystery appears to have been a bit of a damp squib, many citing the whole exercise as a wild goose chase, and that there is no definitive answer to be found within the games. Now, just for due diligence, I also looked at the source code for Hareraiser Finale on the Spectrum. I did have some small issue calculating the line breaks between the text, so you may find I've actually combined a couple of sentences together in these examples. I'm far better off coding Commodore 64s and BBC Micros, so the Spectrum tape was a bit of a challenge. I was, however, able to extract all of the text strings that I believe are the clues hidden within the game. As you might expect, as with Hareraiser Prelude, there's not too much unusual about the code itself. There was one clue, however, I never managed to see in the actual game itself. Only by looking into the code could I find this message. That message was, "The great truth is 867783869684. Intrigued by this clue, I took to the internet to understand if there was any more to this number. Perhaps a phone number, a fax machine number, or even an accurate grid reference. This was certainly an interesting lead. I did investigate all of the above without any success. Since I've never heard anyone talk about this clue, I thought I would include it as part of this video. Almost certainly this will be another red herring in the Masquerade and Hareraiser story. However, this may be that small piece of the puzzle that helps someone out there investigate further. If you hadn't drawn the conclusion by now, then it's most likely that this was all just one big publicity stunt. Not long after Hareraiser Finale, Hairsoft went out of business and filed for bankruptcy. Any hope of winning the golden hare was over. The interest in the prize naturally dwindled and the story faded out of the public's interest. Hareraiser Prelude typically sells for under £10 to this day. What I have here is a mint condition factory sealed edition of the game. It is rare, but due to the number of retro collectors actually searching for it, the price hasn't rocketed as you might expect. Hareraiser Finale, on the other hand, well, this is perhaps the final twist in the story. Since sales for Prelude were not great, and Hairsoft not wanting to put too much investment into Finale, these have become true rarities. What I have here is Hareraiser Finale for the Spectrum. The case contains the important cassette tape and also a registration card. There's a whole list of competition rules stating that you must submit parts 1 and 2 to claim the golden hare, or £30,000 in cash. There's also a nod that no direct or indirect employees are eligible to win the prize. The sleeve acts as a registration card and as a recap to the rather vague text that acts as the starting point for the clues. As you might have guessed, Hareraiser Finale does not come cheap. This Spectrum edition will run to about £40 British. There are rarer editions though. Recently, a bidder paid £77 British for the Atari 8-bit edition of the game. It is perhaps satisfying to know that those that held onto their copies of Hareraiser can now more than get their money back if they decide to sell their copies. Even sweeter though is perhaps knowing that Hairsoft itself had to file for bankruptcy, having failed to con enough people with their wild goose chase. So we have some closure. The golden hare was initially found and auctioned. We know what happened to Hairsoft, and it's likely that the whole Hareraiser Prelude and Finale was just a stunt. Over the years, the events surrounding the golden hare have been covered on TV, magazines and books. But what of the golden hare itself? After Hairsoft filed for bankruptcy, it had to liquidate its assets, and that included the golden hare. We last saw it as it was sold at auction in 1988 and disappeared into a private collection. The hare was auctioned at Sotheby's in December 1988, selling for £31,900 British to an anonymous buyer. Williams himself went there to bid but dropped out at £6,000. The golden hare disappeared into legend, but Masquerade continued to sell for its artwork. The treasure's whereabouts remained unknown for 20 years, until it came to light in 2009. The BBC Radio 4 programme, The Grand Masquerade, broadcast 14th of July 2009, told the story of the creation and solution of the puzzle. Williams was interviewed and presenter John O'Farrell claimed that this was the first time Williams had talked about the scandal for 20 years. During the interview, Williams expressed the desire to see the hare again. Hearing this, the granddaughter of the current owner arranged for Williams to be reunited briefly with his work. This was featured in a television documentary, The Man Behind Masquerade, which aired on BBC4 on the 2nd of December 2009. From a children's picture book, to a national treasure hunt, to missing golden hairs, to mystery tapes and beyond. The Masquerade and Hareraiser mysteries turned into a national modern-day thriller. The final solution of the game tapes, though, is the final mystery yet to be solved. I've taken my best shot at it for now, but can only conclude that the clues are absolutely meaningless. From my side, I'm officially calling this one a hoax, in my opinion. However, it just may be that this story has one final secret to give up though. Could you be the person that unlocks the final solution of Hareraiser Finale? Is it solvable? Is there even a riddle to be solved? Only time will tell. I'm sure that this is a topic that many of you will have an opinion on, although I personally believe that the games have no definitive solution as to finding the golden hair. It really would be great to hear your thoughts on a possible solution. Have you tried to solve the clues, and did you unearth anything interesting? Until next time, happy collecting! Hello again, I hope you enjoyed today's show and thank you for the view. Remember, you can always comment, like, subscribe and find us on the social media sites below. Happy collecting!